Okay, this is becoming a genuinely concerning issue. As a substitute teacher, I am encountering a really concerning number of students who truly do not see any value in learning because, as one of the 4th and 5th graders that I was teaching the other day asked me, why do I need to know any of this if a computer or AI can do it for me? A little girl didn't want to learn how to read because why would she need to when she could have the computer read it to her? Why would she need to know how to count when a calculator could do it, or when she could just take a picture of her math problem and have the AI do it for her? This is a legitimate issue because if for whatever reason we lose the ability to have access to these things, we have an entire generation of kids who's going to be entirely helpless without the internet, and that is not okay. If you as a parent are encouraging this behavior and allowing your child to use AI for everything, you have a problem and you need to be teaching them otherwise.
You can spend a decade in school learning formulas, memorizing information, and preparing for exams. But when it's time to apply those skills in real life, many people feel unprepared. And now, instead of relying on what we learned in school, many people are turning to AI to think, write, and problem solve for them. So the real question is, did the education system fail to prepare us, or are we just evolving with the world and technology? Welcome to Hey Kristen, a channel where we discuss social topics that affect you, me, and everyone in between. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. In today's video, we're talking about the decline of the education system, how teaching to a standardized test may be impacting real-world skills, and why so many people are now relying on AI in everyday life. In many states, including Texas, education has become heavily focused on standardized testing, such as the STAR exam. Instead of focusing on deep understanding of critical thinking, students are often taught to pass a test. That means memorizing information instead of applying it, learning strategies to eliminate wrong answers instead of problem solving, and focusing on performance instead of comprehension. In some cases, schools have also reduced field trips and creative activities to prioritize test preparation. So students may perform well on exams, but still feel unprepared for real life situations.
I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level.
7th grade English teacher here. I teach in northern Houston, and I teach at one of the more affluent schools. When I tell you that these babies cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot comprehend, I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious. It doesn't exist. I have kids constantly asking me, how do I spell window? How do I spell important? How do I spell though? And they be serious. They're dead serious. I could ask them, who is the main character of your story? The story of 4-paragraph story we just read. Can't tell you. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. It took us 4 weeks to get through how to answer a question in a complete sentence.
Okay, so this right here is exactly what I was talking about, or what I was referring to, that I have heard from so many teachers and that I myself am feeling. I feel like every time we hear behaviors when it comes to classrooms, we think of like the big blow up behaviors that totally disrupt your day and everything has to stop. And don't get me wrong, we still have those, especially if you're in like a special education cluster or have a high ESOL population. We still have those behaviors, but I think what is so exhausting and overstimulating is the learned helplessness. Not because there's a lack of structure. Don't get me wrong, it can be. Obviously, I can't speak to every classroom, but from the people that I'm speaking to and from what I know I do in my classroom, there's structure, there are visuals, there is repetition, there is everything they could possibly need, but they just stand there and expect you to do it for them. Or they don't know how to not interrupt you because they need what they want right now. They need that immediate gratification and they weren't listening, or they're not looking at the board that has the pictures of exactly what they need to be getting. And so they just wait for someone to do it for them. And I hear a lot of people like, oh, all teachers do is complain, da 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 da. Yeah, it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong. But I also think it's important to voice what's going on in our classrooms so that parents are aware, because what you do at home affects the way that your kid is successful or not successful in the classroom. So I feel like a lot of times at home, I'm not a mom myself. I can only speak from what I know of parents speaking to me or my friends who are all parents, that it can be so much easier when you're in a hurry in the morning on your way to school or on the way to a baseball game, whatever, to just grab things for them, do things for them, which is okay every now and then. But if you're constantly doing that for them, then you're setting them up for failure. They're not going to be able to know how to do anything on their own. So creating that independent attitude kind of starts at home, and it's only going to make them more successful at school. And it's only going to make their teacher less tired.
Once people leave school, the gap becomes noticeable. Many people realize that they were never taught how to manage money, problem solve effectively, or make decisions in real-world situations. The system trained people to succeed in structured environments, not unpredictable ones. And as we all know, life is unpredictable. So when people face problems that they weren't prepared for, they often rely on guesswork or learn through trial and error. And that's where AI comes in. Some colleges and even employers are now encouraging and allowing people to use AI to speed up their tasks. People use AI to write emails, generate ideas, study or summarize information, craft progress notes. And outside of work, people are using AI in their daily lives to make decisions, plan, to understand things that they were never properly taught. And some people are using AI as a form of companionship. AI isn't just for convenience anymore. For some people, it's becoming a substitute for skills that they never fully developed.
Is using AI to teach the 3 R's. No more one-size-fits-all lessons. Janet Shamlian has tonight's Eye in America.
They're pioneering education's new frontier. Every click, every keystroke at Austin's Alpha School is guided by artificial intelligence.
So right now is considered, of course, schools time.
Students like 8-year-old Alina Boyce spend only 2 hours in the morning on science, math, and reading, working at their own speed, using personalized AI-driven software.
Right now, at my age level, I'm supposed to be 4th grade.
Okay.
But science, I'm in like 6th, 7th grade.
You are?
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see if you can slingshot this.
Adults in the classroom are called guides, not teachers, and earn 6-figure salaries. Their job is to encourage and motivate.
Can an algorithm replace the expertise of someone like yourself?
I don't think it's replacing. I think it's just working in tandem.
Afternoons are different. Students tackle projects teaching financial literacy and public speaking. Life skills, founder Mackenzie Price says, are invaluable.
What advantage does the learning that you're employing here have over traditional schools?
There is such a huge advantage when students can be met at the level and pace of learning that is right for them.
Price was not an educator before starting the school in 2014. There are now 16 campuses and big backers. The education secretary visited last month.
You're turning the learning over to a laptop. What about the importance of an educator in a child's life?
So our guides are not teaching academic content, but they are connecting. In fact, every week, every one of our students gets 30 minutes of one-on-one concentrated time with their guides. And during the workshops in the afternoons, they are connecting and interacting in a group experience.
That progress isn't cheap. Tuition at Austin's Alpha School starts at $40,000 a year.
How is this applicable to standard education?
We recognize that there is a huge mountain of challenges that come in a large public system. So what I hope that Alpha can be is an example, an inspiration, and help families understand that this model of education is something that can work.
While the school says its students test in the top 1% on standardized assessments, AI models have been met with skepticism by educators who say they're unproven. Though there's no disputing students like Smith Adrian are engaged.
So far, you think what?
Amazing.
Reshaping learning with artificial intelligence at the head of the class.
This raises an important question. Are people becoming too dependent on AI, or are they adapting to a system that didn't prepare them? Is this the natural progression of life, especially with advancements in technology? Because if someone was never taught how to think critically, problem solve in the real world, or apply knowledge, it makes sense that they would rely on tools that can help them do that. This may not be an issue with technology. This might be an issue with the education system. This does not mean that education does not hold value. We still need teachers, schools, and higher education. But the system or the structure of education may not be aligned with the reality people are living in today. When systems prioritize testing over understanding, it can create a cycle in which people leave school with knowledge gaps. This isn't entirely the fault of the teachers either. Many educators are working within a system that prioritizes testing, often without enough support from parents or resources from the school. If a parent is not involved and does not encourage the child to learn, the child will face issues in school, and these problems will carry over into their adulthood.
I am willingly and happily leaving my students behind in the job market by not teaching them AI. Because I don't believe that's true. If there is something using AI that a student will need to do in a particular job, they will learn it on the job. Like, for the most part, we do not teach students specific systems. And then if they land in a job where they learned qualitative data analysis in their sociology major through Deduce, and the job they go to uses in vivo, they learn in vivo on the job. Like, you do not need to learn every single system in order to be able to do it for your job. And you also have no idea what job they're going into or how that job is going to use AI, if it is at all. If AI is so intelligent, why does it take so much pedagogy to learn how to use it properly? I understand the argument that we need to teach media literacy around AI, but that doesn't need to happen in my anthropology classroom. It is just extremely disheartening to see so many people fall for propaganda from the AI industry. We don't need to do that because it doesn't do anything useful. It doesn't do anything that humans can't do, and we shouldn't let it do it. So I need you all to think about this harder. A lot of people in my comments about the AI in education video are saying, this is like refusing to teach your students the internet. This is like refusing to let students use a calculator. Not at all. I think AI is more akin to what social media was when I was in college. Some professors started like using Twitter in their pedagogy. Fine, it's fun, it was fun. There was a bit of a talk at the time of like, we have to teach our students how to use social media because everyone's gonna be using it in a job and they're not gonna learn it. Here's the thing, as a person who has done a lot of work in social media, everything I learned about social media that has been useful in jobs and stuff that I learned by existing as a young person in the social media ecosystem, not something that because my sociology professor decided to make an assignment using Twitter. No, that's not where we learn those things. The students are already exposed to AI in every single thing they do, on every app they use, on social media platforms, when they fucking Google things. They already know how to use it in that very basic sense that people are saying like, oh my god, if you don't bring into your pedagogy, they won't know how to use it, you're leaving them behind. I will happily leave them behind. I'm glad to leave them behind because I think they should leave it behind. And if God forbid they graduate in 2 years and they go into a job where it's like, hey, do you know how to use AI for this? Cool, you learn it on the job like you learn every other thing.
So what do you think? Do you feel like school prepared you for the real world? Or did you find yourself relying on tools like AI to fill in the gaps? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The conversation around education and AI isn't just about technology, it's about the preparation and rather the systems that we rely on are actually equipping people for the world that they're entering. If you found this video insightful, you'll probably enjoy the one popping up on the screen now. See you in the next one.